Hi, this is Ted. I'm going to talk today about who Jesus is in the book of Mark and what's going on here. And the first thing I want to point out, first of all, this is from this section right here. I figured out how to use the marker. Who Jesus is. Isn't that great? All right, it's this whole section right along in here. And who is Jesus? Well, notice, first of all, we're going to establish who he is. Then people will say, who is this that demons obey him? Devils knew him. Who is this can forgive sins? Jesus will say, Son of Man. Devils will say, Son of God. Scribes will say, Satan. Disciples say, who is this? The demons say, the Son of God. Hometown, what's going on? He's the son of a carpenter. Herod will say he's John the Baptist, and others in his court, and during that time say he's a prophet or Elijah. And in summarizing this section, the disciples are asked by Jesus, whom do people say I am? And this is an important section. And they say, well, some are saying John the Baptist. Who said that? Oh, Herod said that. Others are saying Elijah or a prophet. And Jesus said, well, who do you think I am? The disciples say, you are the Christ. Now, during this whole section, there's kind of a back and forth. Who is he? Demons know who he is. Who is he? Leaders think he's this, but demons know who he is. Who is this? Demons, we know who he is. He's the Son of God. And hometown, he's just one of us. And Herod, no, he's John the Baptist, risen from the dead. And others think he's prophet or Elijah. Do you see this back and forth? And that's what this whole thing is really meant. And Mark, the book of Mark is meant to do is through the miracles they're watching and through the things he's saying. Mark is helping us to see that there's this give and take. Who is this? Demons know who he is, but other people have different opinions, which is a very interesting way of looking at it. But please note that from a literary point of view, we're starting out, he's the Messiah, or he's the Christ, he's the Son of God. Then there's the question, Son of God, question, Son of God, question, Son of God. Hometown, then it gets a little muddied. Son of God is not mentioned in this whole area. But when Jesus asks the disciples, we know who you are. You are the Christ. Later on, after Jesus will talk about, well, before he talks to the disciples, or in the middle of it, he's starting to talk to the disciples about discipleship and suffering and all that kind of stuff. They got to know about this. But while he's talking to them about that, helping them to refine and define and redefine what the Messiah is, he's not this political ruler, he's something else. So to describe that, to define it, and talk about how he's got to suffer, and you guys are going to be picking up a cross as well, etc., etc. And discipleship is going to be a tough deal, but walk with me. During this time, of course, I talked last week about how the father of the possessed son, I think last week I was not sure it was a girl or boy, but it's the son. And with this, there's kind of a struggle with this guy. Jesus says, if you had faith, and he's, I have faith, but help my unbelief. And I brought this up last week, but this is important. With that, and also with the fact that there were, let's see here, in all of this, there's the blind man who sees trees like men as trees walking, men like trees walking. He sees this, and those both are this kind of this half something. I believe, but help my unbelief. And as I mentioned before, that's kind of describing the disciples' faith. I believe, but help my unbelief. I believe you're the Christ, but everything I've been taught up until now is the Christ is kind of glorious and awesome and big ruler, and you're saying he's going to go to a cross. Something I believe, but help my unbelief. So both of those kind of reflect what the apostles are going through in that one. The blind man kind of summarizes. He kind of ends the whole ministry of Jesus as far as bringing healing to people. And he is, I think, an answer to the one who was healed partially, who saw men as trees walking. Oh, by the way, the father possessed says, calls him master. But the blind man calls him son of David. So it's another definition. It's another description of who Jesus is, the son of David. He's the Messiah. And when he's healed, he sees clearly. And it's right at the end of the disciples' training. So that's kind of this whole section in a nutshell. I threw in some things here. These right here, underneath here, are for me to look at a little bit more closer for this section. I want to look at least 3 sections, or the last 3 sections. I want to look at them far more carefully. And also I have check out Messiah's secret and place each one in. I want to see if there is a connection with, and this is how you learn, by the way, better. Get curious about things. Ask yourself questions constantly. Whatever hits your head, dig in, find out. And in this particular one, I want to find out if you'll notice, as I brought up before, Son of God, who is this? Son of God, who is this? Son of God. There's this back and forth going on throughout that first section. I want to see where the messianic secret, don't tell anybody. Where is that placed in each one? Is it? I don't think it is, but I'm going to throw the possibility. Maybe it's after the demons basically say something about knowing him. Is it every time somebody knows him, he says, don't say anything? Or is it at the end of each section? Is it at the beginning of a section? I got to find out all that kind of stuff. See if there's any kind of consistency, any kind of pattern that I can find out. And this is going to be all I'm going to be talking about today. And I hope you learned a bit, and perhaps a lot, about the structure of the book of Mark and the way it was written and put together. As I mentioned last week, it's not necessarily all chronological, because Mark had certain themes, a certain outline in mind. And I believe that's why he put the miracles where he did. And this is Ted. Have a good day.